Today's adventure has brought us to the Old Mill of Guilford, located 14 miles northwest of downtown Greensboro on North Carolina Route 68. A grist mill of one type or another has operated on this site since 1764. That's 11 years before the signing of the American Declaration of Independence. That's when North Carolina was still a colony of England, ruled by King George III of Great Britain. In those days, the population was concentrated along the coastal areas, leaving the inland areas of North Carolina an untamed and sparsely populated wilderness. To spur westward settlement and colonization, colony governors granted land to enterprising individuals in the inland regions. This is where Mr. Daniel Dillon comes into the picture. Mr. Dillon had likely curried favor with the colony's government because in 1759 he was granted 552 acres of land in what was then called the Granville District, land that included the Reedy Fork as well as Beaver Creek. 9 years later, in 1764, Dillon built the area's first grist mill here on Beaver Creek, which was the first in a long line of mills which would operate here. The first mill was a small tub mill, which was kept busy grinding wheat and corn for the growing numbers of farms that were taking hold in the region. Local mills like this were vital to the growing colony of North Carolina. They allowed locally grown grains to be milled nearby, making the region more self-supporting, and provided a product which could be exported. In 1819, the mill went through some major improvements, one of which moved it downstream around 500 feet to where it now stands. The tub mill was replaced with a larger mill powered by an overshot water wheel, similar to the one you see today. Over the next 100 years, the building and equipment were overhauled, repaired, and replaced several times. During the 20th century, the wooden flume that brought water from the mill pond was replaced with a 26-inch steel pipe. In the 1950s, the mill received its last major upgrades. Milling machinery was replaced. The steel penstock that carried water to the mill was replaced, and a new mill and 24-foot water wheel was installed, which is the one you see today. Today, the mill belongs to Alice and Darrell Klug. Between the Klugs, their miller, and Purdue, and volunteers, they all keep the mill running, producing high-quality flours and meals. However, the days of using water to power the mill are over. The penstock that once carried water from the mill pond is now riddled with holes and would look more like a huge sprinkler should the floodgate be open. Electric motors now hide beneath the mill floor, turning the rollers and belts that power the old mill machinery. Let's take a look inside. I see there are 3 mills here on the floor. This one in the middle apparently was portable. It was taken by wagon to local farms and ground grains on site. This mill appears to be older than the other 2, and perhaps is the original unit dating from the 1950s. Grain was fed down from the floor above, came down these chutes to the mill, which fed it into a hopper like this. From the hopper, it was metered down to the center of a rotating millstone, where it was crushed and ground between the turning stones. Here's a spindle which comes up through the floor and turns the millstone. The tub-like housing holds the two millstones, one of which would be turning if the mill were running. The hand wheel being used to regulate the stone's speed. That is the millstone inside the round case. Here you can see where the grain is fed down from the hopper above, down into the center of the stone, where it is ground between the millstones as they rotate. There is also this fantastic store where you can purchase the flour and meal, which is ground and packaged right here. They also sell a wide variety of mixes for making cookies, biscuits, pancakes, scones, and other baked goods. I can personally attest to their scone mix. The finished product was delicious. A nice selection of jellies and jams. And Millie, the mill's official mascot. Back out on the mill floor, the ladies are processing a batch of wheat, which feeds out of the hopper onto this screen and down into a vertical millstone below. The grain is milled into flour, which is vacuumed up and deposited into this bolter or sifter, eventually exiting below into the barrel. The mill, as you see it today, is the final iteration of 260 years of updates, improvements, repairs, and renovations. It retains an absolutely charming old-time feel, making it easy for one's mind to drift back to an earlier, simpler time when life moved a little slower. This is a gem of early North Carolina history here in Guilford County, and absolutely worth a visit. I hope it survives and operates for another 100 years. Remember, life is a journey. Enjoy the ride, and thanks for watching.